Rosenborg grew out of the foundations built by the knight Goswin. In the 15th century, thanks to Caspar von Rogendorf, it became a Gothic-style building. 100 years later, the Protestant Sebastian Gabner transformed it into a Renaissance style, with the 13 towers we can see today. The successive owners have left their own mark, from the details on windows and balconies to the splendid courtyard, the largest in Europe. This was the venue for great jousts and other competitions between knights, which are still reenacted periodically for tourists. Today, it is a garden that embodies peace and tranquility, although it maintains some typical architectural elements from that period. But what the castle has to offer extends beyond the rose gardens and the medieval-themed days. There are also falconry demonstrations with falcons, owls and eagles circling over the spectators. These demonstrations provide insights into the history of birds of prey and their conservation through captive breeding, a goal shared by the community of the nature park where the castle is located. And if Rosenborg's captivating atmosphere wasn't enough to make you fall in love with the castle, it also has a fascinating falconry museum for those wanting to learn even more about this type of hunting. If we travel 35 kilometers south, still in the Kamptal Nature Park in Lower Austria, we reach one of the country's most beautiful buildings, Grafenegg Castle. "32 hectares of gardens surround this beautiful building, whisking us away to fairy tale lands, where stories of princesses and romantic novels are set. From the soaring tower that dominates the site, to the ornamental features decorating the walls, windows, and rooftops, everything at Grafenegg oozes elegance and decorative flair. Sophistication defines everything we see from the air. Its gardens are home to dozens of different species of trees and plants from all over the world, and provide a relaxing atmosphere, ideal for long walks or reading in the shade. Although its origins date back to the 15th century when Ulrich von Grafenegg took over the estate, the present castle dates from 1800. Count August von Brunner-Enkevor commissioned the renowned Viennese architect Leopold Ernst to build a magnificent building and park modelled on English castles. The slender tower represents its late Gothic construction phase. The Renaissance period also left its mark on the castle. By the first half of the 17th century, it had 4 wings and 2 imposing towers. The castle was further fortified with a moat and 4 corner bastions, providing formidable protection. Remarkably, the moat, exceeding 20 meters in width, is one of the widest known in Austria. Grafenegg is a mixture of styles. Over the years, a chapel was even built between two wings of the building, completing its compact design. Today, the castle is owned by the Metternich-Sandor family, cultural patrons who offer their facilities for musical and artistic events. The castle has an auditorium and an open-air stage with capacity for 2,000 spectators. All this is part of a cultural project that makes classical music accessible to the general public, in keeping with the country's musical tradition. It has also been established as a European centre for the education of young musicians. The park around the castle is a perfect place to spend the day. It was created to ensure the protection of species and to promote biodiversity. Grafenegg Castle is certainly a showcase of architectural and decorative beauty, built with exquisite taste and there to be enjoyed. And it is only 65 kilometers from Vienna. Moving south, we arrive in Laxenburg, a small town in the state of Lower Austria, less than 20 kilometers south of Vienna. The town is famous for its huge picturesque park of the same name, and for the castles built there. It is a major tourist attraction. The Franzensberg Castle is the best-known building in the Laxenburg Castle's park. It is named after Emperor Francis I of Austria and II of the Holy Roman Empire, for whom it was built in 1801. Given the splendor of the castle and its relaxed surroundings, he held high-level political meetings there, although he never lived in the castle and only visited it several times. It was never intended to be a defensive fortress, given that it was built in the middle of a pond. However, it was designed to resemble medieval English castles, where defensive elements and warlike details were common. The coats of arms and banners of Francis I are omnipresent, and he himself is depicted on the vertex of one of the roofs. The castle was intended to be used for recreational purposes. So much so that the hugely famous Sisi spent her long honeymoon at Franzensberg Castle when she became empress after marrying Franz Joseph I of Austria in 1854. The The young German woman took daily walks through the extensive gardens and meadows, with some of her walks reportedly lasting up to 8 hours, exhausting her ladies-in-waiting. At Franzensberg, she could also indulge in her favorite hobby, horse riding, before being overwhelmed by the rigidity of the Austrian court. It was at Laxenburg Castle's park that her son, the Crown Prince Rudolf, was born. The castle is considered one of Austria's architectural treasures, alongside the other buildings in Laxenburg Park. Not only are the castle grounds subject to a conservation order, but they are also part of the European project called Natura 2000. They offer many leisure activities to cater to the whims of more than 1 million visitors every year. With scenic train routes, horseback riding, and the museum housed in Franzensberg. Spending a day in this bucolic spot has become a major attraction for the Viennese residents and tourists visiting the Austrian capital.
Get ready for movie night.